Hello, Mean Cat here, or Mia for short. I've been building up a hefty list of stuff to do for my art and stories. And if you aren't aware, I have not only a webcomic, but a web novel as well. And I need to build up quite a bit of skills to keep them both going. Especially if I want the web novel to be a future light novel. Anyway, I decided to redesign one of the web novel's main cast characters because that is an easier thing for me to do as opposed to, say, practice architecture for my webcomic. The character is named Nami currently, but she was born with a different name, and she is the younger sister to the main character, Amity Harton, in the story. However, if you have read the first few bits, you would know they also currently are separated, and Nami is currently working for the bad guys. Who said that? Just kidding. I mean, it's true, but it's not really a spoiler. I can't really get into the nitty-gritty with her, but I can talk about every iteration of her, at least to the best of my ability. Nami has changed so much over the years, including her relationship with the big bad. I'll do my best to piece together what little nonsense I wrote out on it over time, but no promises that it'll be clear. I mean, it's barely clear to me. And honestly, before I go on this tangent, let's roll the speed paint so my intro isn't ridiculously long like my other videos. I'm going to start first with this design. For years now, since our first iteration, I have stuck very close to the same concept, a put-together magical ice cat, with a magic staff that helps her keep her powers under control. She was born with very potent ice magic that it could kill her if she didn't have a magic staff to keep it under control. And not only that, but it's also tied to her emotions, so if she isn't careful, she'll take others with her in the process. I do love me some yummy angst, after all. Now this has never changed, and this concept still did not change with this design either. However, the overall look did. As you can see in her old designs, I didn't really stray too far from each other, just gray cat, tabby markings, blue outfit, so on. Her red eyes did change to blue to show more so her relation to Amity, but that's really about it. Not straying too far from her original looks each time has showed to not be a good idea. It worked out fine with my other characters, but not really Nami. She's a special case here, just like in the story. Cats aren't born with ice magic in my story, by the way, if you're wondering what I mean. Now, I scrapped everything with this redesign except for like basic stuff like blue and pink in her outfit and wearing heels. And other than that, I grabbed loads of inspo pics to help with this new look, including a mood board, funny enough. I didn't take a lot from the mood board, but seeing such an icy board did keep me on the right track. I forgot to record the initial design though, and color picking, but I basically did a mock of her in a cookie form. Yeah, I know it sounds silly, but doing this before detailed designs lately has been helping me tremendously. And I am definitely not going to question it. It's just a little silly because now any characters I design has a cookie version off the bat. It's like a chibi with no fingers. Anyway, after mocking up the colors on her cookie version, I went into sketching her more detailed in my original art style. I'm doing a front and back with 2 different layers because she has a tabby of specific markings. I want to be able to like reference those and be able to draw several different outfits on her. So there is a air quote nude layer, but don't worry, it's undetailed, so it should be fine to be on YouTube. However, I did try to rush through these nude ones in case it isn't. Yeesh. The second layer is definitely for the clothes though, that I designed. And due to her upbringing, she dresses and does her makeup to look older than her actual age, which is late teens to young adult. I want her to be closer to Layla's age, who is the other main character of the story. My reasons for this, being that I made it up as I go. Basically, Amity is currently the eldest female character in the main cast that has been introduced right now. There's gonna be another one. And I love her. Anyway, before I start talking about the other characters, back to Nami. She was originally a self-insert, funny enough, and the separation of her and Amity was due to my feelings towards my own older sister, and they reflected a lot in the writing. In the past, Nami knew Amity was her sister and hated her because she abandoned her, which led her to join the syndicate. Wait. I wrote that she's unwilling. Oh, an unwilling participant of the syndicate, but I also wrote that she joined. This is what I mean when two thoughts at once. When I say two thoughts at once. Oof. Anyway, she has since been removed from being my self-insert, and Amity is no longer a stand-in for my sister. So yeah. And now, Nami has no memories of Amity. Yay! No yay. I don't know why I put this joke in my script. Anyway, let's just say when you're raised away from your siblings, starting really young, you won't really recall much of it. Especially if scary traumatic stuff's surrounding most of your time with them, such as bad health and other stuff. At least that's the logic I went by. Back to the redesign. I used a whole new color palette and used actual cats to help me think of the fur patterns for once. I might end up doing this for Amity too, because I can't put effort into one character's markings and half-ass the others. Which works for me, because then maybe I can talk about the story Nami here and her sister are in. It'd be nice to get anybody interested a bit more for it, and for y'all to learn about what the heck I'm talking about. And speaking of talking, I've run out of what to talk about for current Nami, even though I kind of wasn't even completely talking about her current self. There's not really that a lot I can describe on my thoughts, since like you can see most of what's going on. I picked this color, I did that color, meh meh meh. Most of my thought process is, does it work? Yes? Okay, let's go with that. Anyway, let's just move on to more past Nami info and try not to get sidetracked by current one, blah blah blah. I'll be redrawing an old picture of Nami for this section, by the way. First things first, I once again did something I don't usually do, and that is drawing multiple thumbnails for this picture. As much as the idea part wasn't needing to be thought of with the whole redraw deal going on, I wanted to get the angle right and the pose. So I decided to try a few angles and thumbnail out a possible room. In the original piece, she is in a vague open area that's well lit, so this time I decided maybe she's having this crisis in her room that's on the syndicate base, and because of her high ranking, it'd also be a bit more customized too. That obviously won't be too noticeable because at most you see a side table, but I feel even side tables and lamps can show off enough personality. I wanted to keep the top-down angle because I love me top-down angles, and I always see them used in moody pieces like this, but with how I wanted her expression to be an important part, it wasn't working. Not to mention I was struggling with the anatomy. I eventually ended up just changing to a bottom-up angle, as you can see on screen. I mean, it's not an extreme bottom-up angle, but you know. Hopefully I got that perspective right. The lighting will be dark, as I imagine she's trying to not only be quiet, but also wouldn't want anyone to think she is in her room and potentially see her in this state. So the lights being off would make a lot of sense. Originally, Nami used to be part of the syndicate unwillingly, and the big bad who goes by Jag was abusive to her in the past, which is actually the context to the art I am redrawing. According to my DeviantArt description, she is feeling isolated after a confrontation with Jag, who lost his temper for one reason or another. Now, Jag isn't exactly nice, but now he isn't overtly abusive like I had him. He still threatens his followers when they get out of line, but now he treats the top ones that work right with him better than the underlings. Not really a lot better, but Nami never really feels his wrath for a few reasons now. Such as, she is truly loyal in her current iteration because of an act of kindness from him when she was a child. As well as her being the adoptive daughter to one of the creatures funding the syndicate. Now that is a spoiler. But nobody's gonna remember this video, so whatever. He was the one that gave her 2-set funder too, by the way. Now, why don't I specify other stuff if I think this video won't be remembered? Well, no idea. My brain has two competing thoughts going on a lot, and I am trying my darndest to get it to stop affecting my writing, including the script if y'all noticed. Basically, my big bad draws the line at hurting kids, and Nami has gone from an abuse victim stuck to someone wanting to repay her savior. Very unfounded loyalty, as he still ain't a good guy, but that'll make for a juicy conflict later, am I right? Nothing like the big bad getting worse while the loyal follower who has a conscience drifts away because they don't want to go down the same path of destruction. I imagine this new version of the isolation picture is from then, where she is having a crisis about it, as he is hurting others worse. And for what? Power? Is all this bloodshed really worth it? Should she keep helping this guy who is so obsessed with power? But he has good. He saved her as a child, and he still isn't hurting kids himself. However, if she left, she'd immediately be detained by GPAT, aka the ones that have been going after the Syndicate this whole time. Granted, Jag says he needs this power for something bigger than she understands, but is it really worth it? As the writer, I know if it is, and I refuse to tell y'all. Just know it's complicated coming from like a place of anger, sorrow, but also a desire to end the suffering for everyone. If I ever finish part 1 and do the other parts, it becomes clear actually. Anyway, I gotta stop as I'm going on a tangent. I can't be talking about Jag and Nami's video. However, I also don't have anything else to say. If there's still time left, I'll just play y'all out with some music. I had a lot of fun redesigning Nami and getting a chance to yap about one of my characters and the story she's in. I hope y'all had fun watching it. Though a hate watch still works my favor, so whatever. Thank you for watching my redesign. Like and subscribe if you did actually like it, and if you want to see more of it. Bye bye!